The Selfish Podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on. Hey, beautiful people, and welcome to The Selfish Podcast. You are here with Steph.
And Chloe.
Welcome. Today we are going to deep dive into psychedelics.
Ooh.
Looking forward to that. But before we get started, Chloe, how are you this week?
Steph, I'm feeling actually pretty good this week. I have been a little bit tired actually now to come to think of it.
Well, you've had a lot on.
I've had a bit on. It's been a busy couple of weeks, so I think it's kind of like I'm feeling good about it, but yeah, upon reflection, I think maybe I need a very quiet weekend this weekend just to ease back into life.
Yeah, so tell us what you've been doing.
So, what have I been doing? I've been to Perth. Nice. For a business retreat, and then I went to Melbourne and saw Fat Boy Slim.
Oh God, I love a bit of Fat Boy Slim.
It was it was a great gig. It went by too quick though.
Yeah, always does.
We thought it was going to be pouring in Melbourne, but it ended up just being like the most perfect night with some mates and some new friends too. And
did you have a good dance?
Great boogie.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever danced like I danced when we were living in Singapore.
Yeah.
Fat Boy Slim played at the Grand Prix,
and
it was on like the last day of the Grand Prix. So we are completely exhausted because we've just been like nonstop partying for 4 days. And it was like middle of the day on a Sunday, and it was like we were stone cold sober, and it was actually the best set I've ever been to. I have not danced like that before.
And he's so wild. He just is like crazy. There was so much going on visually, like down at the screen. We went to the Sydney Myer Music Bowl in Melbourne, which is like such a cool.
I think the last time I was there, I saw like Snoop Dogg. This would have been like 10 years ago.
How cool's the setup though?
So
like
good.
that you're on a hill, like a natural amphitheatre, and like we were right front of stage, and the like just the lighting.
Yeah.
It was just epic, and he is just wild.
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat.
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat.
There's a really good, I don't know what set he did, but we found, after that set, we found on YouTube, and I'll link to it in the show notes, there is like a full set that he did in Bangkok, and we played that at many, nights at our place. This is back in the day when we used to have fun, and
when we used to have fun.
Yeah. Well, the last 2 years have been challenging.
True. Fair call.
But we'd play it and just all have a big dance party. So if that's the same set, you might enjoy.
Can we do that another time?
Absolutely.
Relive our experiences of Fat Boy.
And dancing, I think, is so good for the soul. Mm-hmm. Like we, Hugh and I, with a good friend of ours, went to Rufus du Sol.
Yes.
Last
epic.
November. Now, I thought that they were some indie band that like I was the only one who knew about them. And then we rock up there and there's like 15,000 people. I'm like, how did these guys know about Rufus?
No, epic.
But that was so beautiful. Like, I should stop saying the word beautiful. That was such a great night, such a fun night. And it was nice just to let loose and dance. And I think dancing is, good. It's so good for the soul.
Moving the body is just, in a rhythmic way, I think.
Yeah, just closing your eyes, letting the beat take you, transport you.
So good. So good.
So you went to, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think it's especially good for females to move their body in a rhythmic way.
Why?
I just think that we need
males?
I think we need to tap, well, probably not males, but I think, if we go back way, like ancestors, you look at females within different cultures and it's all about moving and moving the hips, and I think there's so much. We've chatted about it before briefly, maybe we need to dive into it another time, but that stored energy in our hips, I think that trauma.
And you know what it makes me think about as well is that dogs, when they need to just shake things off, they shake things off. Like they actually
That's
shake
like
when
they're anxious to shake, isn't it?
When they're anxious, they shake to sort of shake off your sillies.
Yes.
You know, that wiggle song or something. They don't shake off the sillies, shake off the nerves. And I think that's something that,
I think that, there's something in it.
There's something
Isn't there?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of dance therapies. I actually saw one in the window. I was going past a crystal shop the other day and I took a photo of it because I thought, oh, I'm interested in exploring dance therapies and especially sort of the
Me too.
like in drums and that kind of stuff. So maybe we need to add that to our ever-growing list of things that we try out.
Well, on that topic, I'm like reading a book at the moment and it's talking about priority planning.
Okay.
And dance was on my priority list. Like as a big rock. It needs to be in there.
Absolutely.
So let's do that.
Yep. I like it.
Amazing.
So did you go to Melbourne for Fat Boy or was Fat Boy just a
That was a little bit. We kind of had thought we might go. We thought we might go and we stumbled across tickets last minute, which was epic. But the reason why me and my husband Adam went there was to see Gabby Bernstein. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know about Gabby, definitely check her out on Instagram. She's got an awesome podcast called Dear Gabby. She's kind of like a manifesting guru talking about the universe. One of her books is called Universe Has Your Back, but like kind of just like healing through trauma. So yeah, the really interesting thing is she came out onto stage and the first thing that she started talking about was self. And I was like, mic drop.
Yeah.
We are here.
Gabby, we've got a podcast you
Come
should listen to.
Maybe we could
So
get
this was after Fat Boy?
This was after Fat Boy.
How was that? How was the...
Look,
you shook it off and
we
just
got
went
there.
for it?
Yeah, we got there. Alarm set in the morning. We made it. Coffee in hand. Adsy was worse than me. So, yeah, but we made it through the day. And I think it was good having something to kind of go to.
Yeah, and so it was a full day.
Full day event.
Whoa.
Yeah. There was probably about 20
Ooh.
males to 1,500 females in there, which, yeah, proud of Ads for coming along with me. But it was a beautiful, beautiful day of connecting with Adam, for something that we can talk about, like moving forward and integrating things that Gabby talked about into our life, which I think is such a beautiful thing as a couple to experience together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she just kind of dived into checking in, being curious, like asking how you are, how your self is, being curious.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's so good you went together because I think often we go to these things and we have a dialogue or we, listening to what they say and you then come back and you want to talk about all of these concepts and you don't have that shared language or shared understanding.
Totally.
So I think the fact that you went together just, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful experience for both of us. And
Awesome.
just before Ad sent me a message and he's like screenshotted his phone screen. It's like 11:11. Universe has my back. That's
awesome.
So good.
Yeah.
So I think that's so.
So I can stop sending you those text messages now.
Well,
and you can,
everyone can do it.
Everyone's
Keep
going to be sending them.
Yeah. Synchronicities. Love it. So yeah, that's kind of been my week, which has been big. Do you want me to jump into what's been happening in the cosmos?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we finished the, last week was the full moon and eclipse season.
Yes.
So that's all finished now. So we'll be integrating some of the things over the last 6 months that have come up for us. And Mercury retrograde is gone.
Done, thank fuck.
Done. How good. I mean, there's pros and cons, but it is nice to be finished with the retrograde. So basically now Mercury has stationed direct, and what this kind of means for us is that now is the time to act on plans, insights, or any changes that we may have been brought to into our awareness from the retrograde is to now start moving through those. What else? Final week of Taurus season, so really important time to keep grounding in.
What's after Taurus?
Why am I having a mental blank?
It's
Gemini.
Aries, Taurus.
Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini, of course.
Gemini. Oh,
yeah, the
it's a
twins.
big one. The twins.
Evil twins. No, I don't know if they're evil.
I've got a bit of Gemini in my chart, so I don't mind it. Some people it's questionable for some.
Well, let's.
But we could dive into that.
Next week.
And then the other thing the final thing is actually on the 19th. So today.
Whenever you're listening to the
podcast, 19th of May, new moon in Taurus. So, yeah, it's a flower moon, meaning cheerful, playful. So, yeah, new moon is about setting intentions. So for the month ahead. So it's a beautiful time, actually. It's all about creation. It's actually good to get out during a new moon and meet new people, because that they can be lessons like that your soul is craving, and new people in your life can often bring about those new lessons that we're here to seek and find out about ourselves. So yeah, get out of the house.
And for those that journal, maybe we can include some journal prompts in the show notes or on our Instagram.
Such a good idea. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
I need to journal. Like, I really a bit of a on and off journaler, and often I'll just actually do it on my phone notes if I've got something to say. I just need to get it out.
Perfect.
Or I prefer to write, because I feel like it's more of a heart-hand connection. But journaling is something I definitely want to do more of. So maybe we could include some journal questions.
Great idea.
Thought-provoking.
I love that. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, so that's my week. How about yours, Steph? What's been going on?
I'm quite fine.
Yeah, really?
By fine, I mean I'm fucked up. I'm, feel inadequate. What starts with N? I'm nervous / nihilistic, and
Ooh, love all your big words. I'm going to learn a lot from you.
E, I'm like emotional.
Yeah.
It's been
big.
It's been a lot. Yeah, it's been a lot. I've got a friend who always used to say, I'm fine. She's Scottish. And I was always like, you're not fine. Like, it's as soon as you tell me you're fine, I know you're not. So that's how I'm feeling at the moment. I think I'm really taking stock of my mental health. It's been a really big few weeks for me. I think, Mother's Day always kicks things off, but also just a few other things going on in my personal life. And I think ever since Arthur died, it's like checking in on my mental health and keeping on top of it.
So important.
It's so important. And the way I like to think about it is like I'm walking on a beach. It's, pretty cold, windy day, and the sea mist is sort of coming up behind me. And as I'm walking, if I'm walking at a good pace, I can outwalk the sea mist. But sometimes if the sand gets a little bit soft. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Or if anything changes, or if the wind and I stop for a second, that mist can sort of overtake. Yeah. And then you sort of don't know which way is what and whatnot. So that's sort of how I like to.
It's a great way to think about it.
My brain health.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I sort of feel like I'm stuck in that mist at the moment. Okay. So I've got a new psychiatrist who I'm seeing in a few days.
How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, feeling good. I mean, it's always tricky seeing someone new, because you've sort of got we've got a 90-minute session, and then the next week we've got a 1 hour session just to sort of unpack and just see if we're right for each other.
Great. So you spend a bit of time. Is that really important for you to make sure that there's that connection and relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because I did have another psychiatrist I was seeing, and she was excellent for the time I needed her. That was right after Arthur died. But now I feel like I'm looking for something else, and I need a slightly different connection. So, yeah. So it's a lot to then talk through everything. It's a big emotional investment.
It's kind of like, imagine it to be quite a purge. You know, like you letting out. You've got to let everything out again. Yeah, in a sense.
And then you're just exhausted.
Yeah,
exhausted. And then I've also got my psychologist.
Okay.
Who I'm seeing tomorrow. So psychiatrist is...
I was going to say, what's the difference?
Yeah, so psychiatrist is a trained medical professional. So they have done like a medical degree.
So they're a doctor.
A doctor, absolutely. They can prescribe medication, which is an important one. Not that I'm on anything at the moment, but they can if I think that's the way I want to go.
Yeah.
And they've also across a range of different therapies. So really looking at it more from that strict medical lens, I suppose. Yep. A psychologist is a registered health professional, and they're trained in human behaviour. So,
cool. Yeah,
really useful for help therapy. Not help therapy.
Talk therapy.
Talk therapy.
Yeah,
yeah. So I do talk about different things with each of them, and that's just, I suppose, in my toolkit of help that I've got around me. So I know we talk a lot about the alternative medicines on this podcast, and we sort of deep dive into them. But I also have my traditional or medical, I don't know what you want to call it. Yeah. My other people who I see as well. And
I think it's awesome for us to talk about both, and how how both of them work well together.
Yeah,
you know?
Oh, absolutely. And I do notice I've probably been a little bit lax lately on seeing my psychologist and my psychiatrist, but I do and then stuff like this happens. So, and then I go, okay, shit, I need to really focus on this and get back into it. So, I do think, for me at the stage that I'm in, I always need to be taking care of myself and my well-being from all of those different angles.
And I applaud you for that, because I can only imagine that, one, it's super emotional, but two, it's physically and mentally draining as well for you to be diving into those depths on a consistent basis. But in saying that, the necessity of doing those things to ensure your well-being and your mental health is looked after.
And just to help process things and process things in a safe space where I'm not putting it on other people and I can really go, okay, well, is this just, just because you have a feeling doesn't mean you are that feeling.
Absolutely.
And also things can come and go and pass through. And it's just, it's really useful having, highly trained medical professionals who can
help guide and support you.
Yeah, exactly. And introduce me to different things as well, different therapies as required. So that's been, it's been a bit of a wake-up call that I need to focus more on this. So that's what I'll be doing.
And focusing on moving forward.
Yeah, and just trying to get into nature. So, it's been a pretty emotional few weeks, but that's me. Paris Hilton. Yeah. I mentioned that book last podcast. Yeah. So I have been going on a lot of walks lately. So I'm just trying to get out in nature.
What was that called again when you...
Oh, temptation bundling. Or something.
Beautiful.
Or reward bundling or something like that, where you sort of, reward or put the two things together. So if I do exercise, I can listen. Yeah, something like that.
Beautiful.
I don't know. Google it. You'll work it out.
But we will.
Yeah, but I mentioned that the reason I chose that book was because I wanted a light read.
Yeah.
It's not a light read. Let me tell you that right now. She has gone through some shit.
Wow.
Yeah, she's had she's got an incredibly...
it's not surprising.
An incredibly traumatic backstory. So and I'm not going to go into all the details, but she was sent to a boarding school when she was about 16 years old, and it turned out to be an incredibly abusive sort of boarding school that really took advantage of the parents, and it's a part of the troubled teen industry, which she's now a real advocate against. So she's got a whole bunch of stuff that she's worked through, and she has worked through it. It's actually a very inspiring book. And one thing that her husband said to her is that it also resonated when I was thinking about the podcast and everything else. She said, wellness and taking care of yourself is an act of love for those people around you.
Absolutely.
So she was saying, my husband Carter wants to bring the best of himself to his loved ones and to everyone in his life, and to do that he needs to take care of himself. So I think that's also a really nice way to frame being selfish.
Absolutely.
And I know for me, right now, as I'm in the thick of things, if I can't get myself sorted, I'm useless to everyone else in my life. So
because you just want to lock yourself away in a room, and you've got the little man that needs his mummy, and so bloody kudos to you for doing the work.
Oh, it's hard.
It's hard. But I take my hat off to you.
Thanks, Chloe.
And to all that are listening as well, because I think that that's why we're here. Hey,
absolutely,
to ensure that we're being selfish.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Bloody love Paris too. Go gal.
Oh, seriously. Amazing stuff. So let's get into what we're here. Oh, no, actually, let's get into the card. Sorry. I want to talk about psychedelics. Sorry.
I know.
Let me take a step back.
It's a pretty epic journey that I'm going to take you on. But before that, let's dive into our card of the week. So I've actually got, I didn't realise I had this, but I've got the Super Attractor card deck by Gabby Bernstein here.
Cool.
So I'm going to pick one from here. Here we go.
Oh, do we need to put the energy in?
Yeah. All right, let me see what we got. I let the universe catch up with my dreams. Beautiful. I've been thinking about this lately, actually, maybe since the psychedelic journey that I went on, but there is so much information and intuition in our dreams that if we tap into that, they're essentially like signs from the greater being above us, universe, God, whatever you want to call it. But so I think that, letting ourselves step into our dreams and kind of take away those little nuggets of wisdom from our dreams. Have you had any wild dreams lately?
I haven't lately, but I have in the past, absolutely. I let the universe catch up with my dreams. Yeah, okay.
So that maybe it's telling us this next week, just be aware of your dreams, you know, kind of like if you wake up and there's something that's resonated with you, like journal it down potentially. It could be, you know, a little bit of something bigger than us sharing something that we need to know.
I like that. So with dreams, this was ages ago, maybe, you know, just after I finished school, I taught myself to lucid dream. So I was like obsessed with the Matrix, which I don't even know what it's got to do with the Matrix, but I always think it sort of does. And so what I started doing was when I woke up, I would write down what I had dreamt of. And the more that you write that down, the actual more you can remember. Because often you can remember it straight away and then it sort of just
absolutely. Totally
so
resonate with that.
I would have had like a dream book or something, and then I'd write down what I dreamt of. And then slowly, I started to remember more and more. And then I started to be aware that I was dreaming. And for me, it was like a red ball would bounce through my dream. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm dreaming. And then I could actually take over my dream.
So is that what lucid
That's what
means?
lucid dreaming is. Lucid dreaming is you're aware that you're dreaming and you are in control of your dream. And it was pretty, as you would like to say, epic. It was pretty full on.
Yeah.
But I then stopped doing it because I just would wake up exhausted because I don't feel like my brain was getting the rest that it needed to get.
Totally. You're like living another life.
Yeah, it was pretty fun because you would live your day life and then my dream life.
Whoa.
Which wasn't necessarily my dream life, but it was what I was doing in dreams, which was, you know, limitless. So I then had to stop doing that because I found that I was too exhausted. And also I would then go to sleep and then my day would continue. So if I'd been like out that night, my dream would then begin when I got home, but like the night would keep going.
Oh my goodness.
So I might go to
restart
bed.
it.
Well, then I might go to bed and then I'd still be at the Havelock or wherever. Like, you know, this is, you know, still be out dancing with friends. And then my dream would continue that night.
Yeah.
And then I'd wake up and I wouldn't know what was dream and what actually happened. So it was it was a bit trippy. So I stopped doing it.
I feel like this is what I'm going to tap into with my psychedelic journey. I feel like this is a beautiful segue because it's interestingly simpler.
There you go. Well, let's go into that. Okay, so let's get into it in terms of your psychedelic slash psilocybin journey. So just for those playing along at home, psilocybin is naturally found in some mushrooms. It's a plant medicine that Indigenous cultures have used for generations. It was heavily researched in the 70s, I think 60s and 70s, and they were looking at, you know, around using it for to treat depression, PTSD, anxiety, but then sort of all of those studies were squashed.
Yeah.
Recently, there are quite a few more clinical studies in train around, you know, the effectiveness of using psilocybin and psychedelics. There are actually a number of studies you can tap into if you're interested. But if you want more information about what it actually is in terms of psilocybin and psychedelics, I'd highly recommend the Netflix documentary Fantastic Fungi.
Such a good doco.
Yeah, you've watched it too, so we'll pop that in the show notes. But Chloe, for want of a better word, do you just want to take us on your trip and maybe set the scene of what you experienced?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a week or so ago, headed away on this business retreat and, dived into what was, I would maybe say, one of the wildest experiences of my life.
Wow,
so
that's a bit cool.
It's a bit cool. A very significant journey inward for me. So how it kind of started, got up in the morning, we were told to meet out in the lounge room of where we were staying at about 10 a.m. And
so early. I'm picturing in my head that it was like done with like candles and, you know, howling to the moon. But no, okay, so it was 10 a.m.
No,
what were you wearing?
This is the daytime. So just really comfy clothes, super light, loose.
Yep.
clothing. Actually, I think I was in my pajamas still. So really like beautiful group of women, very safe space. And we were guided through a mushroom ceremony.
So how did you take it? How did you just?
Yeah, so basically we sat down. We had kind of like beds on the floor set up, so super comfy, pulled in our doonas, pillows.
Sounds
like
cozy.
Really cozy. And
were your pajamas like flannelette? Like what kind of, like, were they really
mine were
comfortable
just
pajamas?
like more of a lighter cotton material. Yeah. So
Sorry, it's important for me to know these details.
Yeah, sensory seeker you. So yeah, very lightweight pajamas. With a group of women, and we basically sat down and we were talked, shared how the experience may evolve. And the main thing that we needed to do to ensure, I guess, that the experience was going to be a positive one, is to set an intention. So
important.
Basically, we didn't have to share it, but all of us did share out loud what our intention was. And mine was to surrender and open my mind and body to the experience and let my mind and body take me where it wanted to go. So trying not to control at all, surrender all of that control over to my mind and body, which, in essence is a little bit of a scary thing to do, because when you relinquish control, many things can happen. But I think for me, this was a really positive experience. So sat down, and then we went through a meditation to ground ourselves into the moment, into our intention, and then we were given what is called a heroic dose. 3 grams to start off with, and then after an hour we were offered another gram.
So did you snort it, inject it, drink it?
No, it was beautiful. No snorting around here. It was actually given to us in a beautiful cacao drink. So with some lemon juice as well, just to help break it down and settle our tummy. The other thing is that we had not eaten since the night before.
Okay.
So we had to fast. And so we drank that, and then kind of we were shared that maybe the effects would start to take place after about an hour. Certainly about an hour, I was feeling it.
And so what were you doing in that?
So we were laying down.
Okay.
So, when I've spoken to other friends who have taken mushrooms before, they have usually been outside, or taken it as in a milkshake or just some caps or whatever, but it has been an outward experience, like an external experience. But this one was really about a healing journey and going inward. So it was an internal healing experience or journey. So we were laying down, just like on our backs, kind of in like a yoga nidra kind of position, or I was just laying on your back.
Down, it's my favourite yoga position.
I love yoga nidras. So just like very open kind of posture, but like arms down by my side, legs out, laying down. And after about an hour, I started to feel the effects, and that was kind of like maybe a little bit dizzy.
Okay.
And starting to see some things in my mind that were a little bit out there. So it started with like some patterns. So like really trippy patterns, super like hypercolor, which so many people talk about when they go on a trip. And then it became, so then I, after the hour, they asked whether we wanted to take some more, and I opted to take more. And I remember
you were like, yes, please. I want to do this.
Well, I was kind of like, this feels pretty good. Let's see
what else can happen. What other portals we can open up?
Yeah. So then I went to sit up, and I went to put the mug to my lips, but like I missed my lips. I didn't pour it on myself, but like I kind of giggle at that point. Like I was like, oh, far out. Like I'm pretty out of it at this point. And so yeah, had a little drink, then sat there for a little bit, but laid down again. And then it was just like another world. It was unworldly. It was out of this world.
Amazing.
So do you want me
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Tell me. Okay. So what I felt like I was on a water slide.
Okay.
And it was kind of like the lucid dreaming in a sense that I was in the dream or in the movie.
Yeah.
Me watching myself going down this slide.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I was going down a slide. I became a mermaid at one point.
Like, were you relaxed? Like in terms of
so relaxed.
Yeah.
I was just laying there. The guides that were there, so obviously there were two women there guiding us as our like ceremonial guides, just to make sure that we were safe.
Yep.
And so they reported back that it just looked like we were sleeping.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So laying there, and I would say I kind of felt like I went to sleep too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Even though it was 11 a.m. at this point during the day, which was kind of weird to be having a nap. But anyway, I think it just relaxes you so much that you go into your subconscious mind, really. Yep. So it opens that portal. And
I've also, I think, I don't know if it was in the Fantastic Fungi or other things that I've read, it sort of talks about how it allows the amygdala to sort of disarm the fight or flight. So it just allows you to go to places that ordinarily you might not be able to go to.
Well, that fear comes in, hey?
Yeah. So you do it being, you might be, for people with PTSD, they might be experiencing really, traumatic events, but it sort of blocks that.
Kind of bypasses it.
Sort of. Yeah, and this is just, I don't even know if this is true or not, but that's just what I recall.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we were told before we kind of took the plant medicine, essentially it is, was that we may come to like an edge, right? So an edge of a cliff.
Yep.
That will feel uncomfortable to take that step through or over. But to trust our body and our mind, because if we allow ourselves that trust, what can be on the other side of that can be quite amazing. And I've just got full shifts over across my body. And I really felt like I got to those points many times throughout the trip. So, it was kind of that water slide. So it was all fun and frivolous at the start, I would say. And then some interesting things kind of started popping up. So I saw Egyptian women. I saw African women, many, many faces of women that I don't know in this lifetime, but potentially maybe I have known before or have been, or I don't know. It's just wild to think. Or just other women in general coming through, and it was kind of just really bombarded with just the female body and our feminine self. And I think prior to the trip, I have been thinking that I am more in my masculine, very much a doer, have a company, hustler. But also since beginning working with my new coach, I've been wanting to receive more and step more into my femininity and allow that to come through and not be ashamed of that. So I feel like it was kind of a bit of a sign, potentially, like to allow that to come through. So that was really wild. So many women, body parts, all sorts of things, like crazy.
What do you mean by body parts? Sorry,
just like the female form. Yeah. Which I am super attracted to a female body. Like I think it is it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Yeah. And so then I was like, does this mean I'm a lesbian, or like why am I, thinking about a female body? But I don't think that is the case. I think that although I am I think I'm just exquisitely I'm just in love with what females can do and bring to the world. Yep. And I think that that's what it was showing me, just how powerful we are when we step into our feminine self.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, sexuality is also quite fluid.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Especially, in this current day and age too. but yeah, the more I've reflected on that and maybe integrated, I feel like it's more about feminine power for me. So that's super interesting. So that was one part of it. And then it kind of went into, this was wild. I started crying and I didn't really know why I was crying. But then one of the guides came over to me and she put her hand on my solar plexus actually. And the tears came out. It was really like quite an intense moment. And then she moved up to my chest and I was taken back to Val's birth.
Wow.
Yeah, it was... My birth with Val was extremely traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
We laboured for 31 hours, which was so different to Raf's birth. I had a cesarean.
So Val's your second.
Val's my second little boy, and he will be 3 next month or in a couple of months. So yeah, taken back to that moment of like laboured, went into the hospital, and it got to a point where I was so fatigued that I just couldn't push anymore. Mm-hmm. And it was really against what I wanted for my birth to go like, but I had to call in some intervention, and that intervention was forceps and ventouse, the suction. So two attempts of the suction, which were failed, and then we had to get the forceps out and get him out, and it was just yeah. I remember a moment where Adam and I were looking at one another, and yeah, we just didn't know what was going to happen, what it was going to be like at the end, and yeah, I then lost a lot of blood, and it was just. Yeah, it was a really traumatic experience. And I think in the moment, as we are females, we just soldier on. We get through. You've been through that, Steph. You know, like you are the epitome of the strongest, one of the strongest women I know. So moving through that was, yeah, pretty traumatic. But I just put a Band-Aid on it, I think.
Yeah, and had you processed that at all?
I don't think so. I think that at that moment during the trip, it was like it came back to me. It wasn't, it was, I released with the tears, but then the other beautiful thing is that she also then put her hand on my heart, and then at that moment, Val and I were just bathed in white light. Mm. So it was a healing experience essentially. And I think me now speaking it too is another healing experience, you know? So, and I have a very healthy, full of energy 3-year-old who is just like, absolutely delightful to look at each day. So I'm, extremely blessed. But there was a moment of, just I think acknowledging it, Mm-hmm. So that was that. So that was heavy. And then from that point I was like, shit, I feel like I'd had my eyes closed the whole time during this. And the other wild thing is that before I opened my eyes, I then also saw myself. So like levitated above, saw myself. My mum at that same day actually had gone in for an operation and was under anaesthetic, and I met my mum.
Oh, wow. So it was happening at the same
time. And I didn't realise this until I spoke to her after, and I was like, fuck, I think I like met you.
We met
in the ethers,
like in the ether.
In the ether, that was the word that I'm thinking. Yeah, it was fucking trippy, but like also like just like another healing moment, I think, like just, being mum, and it was beautiful. So that was another bit of crying. So there's a lot of tears for me.
It's a good release.
It was such a good release.
Yeah.
And I didn't come out and feeling like, it was just, it was emotional, but not in a really like heavy way. It was like a good release. So that was that bit. And then, gosh, you wanted me to keep going? There's so much stuff. Going. Oh, all right.
Okay, as much as you want to share, I'd love to keep hearing.
Yeah, so then my eyes were closed. Then I decided to open my eyes and look, like, just to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
That was probably maybe more intense. Opening my eyes sometimes is just like seeing it was like a whole kind of movie, or I like really likened it to the Beatles' Yellow Submarine clip, where it's just you're looking at the trees and they're warping into different animals, or like there was monkeys that were the trunks, just like wild colours. I flipped over onto my tummy and the floor, so it was a timber floor. The floor started like as small wolves, like a wolf. So strange.
Yeah, okay.
And then it like merged, so hundreds of little wolves, and then I kept looking, and then it merged into just one massive wolf face. So weird. And that hasn't dropped in. I haven't integrated what this means as the wolf. Actually, I did pull a card after that had a wolf on it, which, kind of just, I think it was kind of stepping into your power, which is interesting. But I think there's more to integrate about that. But then I like looked up at the really super high ceilings, and it had like timber paneling on the walls, and then that was warping into a mother and a baby, like breastfeeding.
Okay.
Like just
all sorts.
I don't know. I just was blown away. Moments of such euphoria and love. Like throughout it, I was like feeling so much love and gratefulness for being in this moment and experiencing this bliss, that it just was so wild to kind of think about what is in our subconscious realm, you know? And what we don't have access to on an everyday, like day-to-day basis. The creativity.
But it's there. And how do you then tap into it?
How do you tap into it?
Yeah.
And I think it is doing it is out there. It is wacky and wild. But I think what's on the other side of it is just something so incredible that is just, And
so any other moments from the session that you want to share? Like how long was this?
So we were in the trip for about 4 hours. So started to come out after 4 hours. The other thing that was really beautiful about it, that this was completely guided by music. So there was music playing the whole time, which all of your senses become really kind of acute, heightened. So like sharp, like I felt like the music was just like playing to me. Had this one time when a teardrop rolled down the side of my cheek and like entered my ear. It was the weirdest feeling, but like the loudest sound, like this just clear, crisp, like drip, you know? Yeah. It was so wild to think about. So 4 hours was in this kind of like wild movie with highs and lows, and but on the whole, just such a beautiful healing experience, I think.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So I think they're the main things that I'm trying to think if there was anything. Yeah, it was just like the women. I think the women and the birthing experience obviously was like, Oh, and the other thing that came up was the word shame.
Yeah, okay.
Which was interesting. So shame has kind of been, if you're into that self-help, self-healing, it's pretty like a well-used word that we all carry a lot of shame. So that came up in like psychedelic colours, like flashing pretty much.
Like on Game of Thrones where did you watch that? Yeah, where like Cersei's walking through and they're like,
it was intense actually, that and I just remember it so clearly. So that has actually come up since, integrated a bit of that and worked with my have worked and will continue to work with my energy coach around releasing that shame.
So is that what you sort of plan to do? Just think through all of those different things that came up and then work out, okay, do I need to explore this further?
Yeah. Well, they talk about that there's like an integration period after you've done, a trip like this. So there's like a couple of weeks. They've said like to listen back to the music. So we've got that on Spotify as a list that we can play back.
Yeah, cool.
Listen to that and just allow that immersive experience to kind of tap back into, what we were going through during the journey, which I haven't done yet. I've listened to a little bit in the sauna the other week, but my dreams last night were super trippy, kind of similar to what I experienced. So I think things are dropping in.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, please keep us posted.
I will. Yeah.
So you started about 11 when it kicked in. So what, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. So it's now 3 p.m.
Yep, 3 p.m. coming out, giggly as hell. Yeah. So like me and the other girl giggled the whole way through, and it's the most joyful giggle that I will always remember, like throughout it. So many times throughout it, like she would start giggling and then I would start giggling, and it'd just be like a giggle fest. Went to the toilet throughout it and I couldn't pretty much walk. I didn't know where I was going. So it's pretty wild. So after 3 p.m. we started kind of coming out, and obviously we were so hungry because we hadn't eaten all day.
Yes. Yeah,
so we the retreat was fully catered, so we had food there. What'd you have? What'd you eat? Like beautiful platter, all gluten-free, refined sugar-free, just like dips and I don't know, which was it. I probably should have laid down for a little bit longer.
I feel like after that I would have wanted like a big bowl of pasta or something.
Yeah, actually, after I have to say I actually got sick.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I was okay when I came out, and then I was all good, went to bed at about 8 o'clock, back to my room, called my dad. I shared my experience with my dad, and he was such a legend and really open to it. Yeah. What a bloody legend. Loved it. I was all good, and I had a shower, and then I went back to bed and I laid down, and I was like, oh, yeah. I had a bit of an upset tummy. Yeah. Quite a few voms for that night.
Yeah.
Didn't sleep entirely well, which some people do sleep really well. It's that kind of like, you're away. We went through a lot. You dive deep. A lot,
and your body's, your mind is like, okay, what's going on
what
here?
What is this? What have I opened up? Can of worms.
Hey? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Drink lots of water.
So, tried to. That kind of didn't stay down. But and then the next day, even my tummy was still a little bit different. Yeah, a little bit squirmy.
Yeah.
But nothing that it wouldn't stop me from doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they said you can probably do it, every 6 months if you wanted to.
Yeah. Wow.
So which is intense, but great. I think
super intense.
Yeah. It was really wild.
And anything in the I know you said that different things will drop over the next, weeks, months. Was there anything straight afterwards, or not straight afterwards, the days that followed that you want to mention, or?
There was a moment where some things come up with my family actually, and they came around for a drink, and I just was like pretty emotional about a car, actually. I've decided at some point I'm going to get a new car. I didn't really realise that I liked cars.
Okay.
But I do. I actually really enjoy cars. And I shared that with mum and dad, and, they were like, oh, okay, you got heaps of stuff to do around the house, and what about your family? And like, why do you need to go and get a car like that? And I was just like, well, it doesn't mean I'm going to get the car tomorrow. And I'm feeling really shameful right now for sharing this with you.
What's your issue
so
against
it came
the car?
Up. Exactly.
Now, inquiring minds need to know what kind of car.
A Mercedes GLS.
I don't know what that is. But...
It's a beautiful car. It's a bloody beautiful car.
And you've worked your ass off to get it. So get that car.
I will get it one day. Not today, not tomorrow. It's one day.
Yeah.
But, even just saying it and being open to that, like, I know it will happen. I know I'll get this car. Like, I'm about that, I know once I speak it, it will come. Exactly. I will have it one day. And
there's nothing shameful about saying, you know what?
Yeah, but the word materialism came up. And I was like, yeah, but I am materialistic. And what's wrong with that? Like, I'm a Taurus. Mm-hmm. I am materialistic. I enjoy luxurious things. I love beauty, and I love to be surrounded by things that bring me joy and make me feel beautiful.
Want to be surrounded by things that bring you joy.
And so
the words of Marie Kondo,
Exactly. So anyway, it was something to ponder, and I also had my learnings about this too. I was like, yeah, fair call, of course, like, I am a family woman, and I do provide for my family, and I will ensure that they are given the things that they deserve.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that I can't enjoy a new car at some point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. What colour? Like, are you a silver kind of gal? Like white? We're talking black. Black's not.
I know black isn't.
Black's not good for the
cleaning.
For cleaning.
I know, but I clean my car once a week, so I feel like I'd be okay. If the kids are older, it's
Yeah. Well, that's impressive. You do it once a week.
Yeah, it was a great car wash I have to tell you about.
Yeah, please do.
Around the corner.
Life tip.
Yeah, so
go get your car cleaned.
Clean your car. It does make you feel better.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a clean car.
It's pretty entertaining for the kids as well, being in the...
Oh, my gosh, they love it. And this one does like rainbow colours.
Oh, fun.
It's probably not great for the environment, but oh, well. YOLO. So, yeah, that's been my experience the past little while. So things are definitely dropping in. I'm definitely being more open. I'm feeling more clear in my mind, and I'm actually a bit like kind of give less fucks.
That's a good way to be.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's that, I've just celebrated my 36th birthday, coming up to that 40, like just, like I'm in control of me and my own feelings, and I don't need to take on the feelings of others. I think sometimes I'm an empath and I do feel others' feelings, but it's kind of holding that boundary and being like, do you know what? That's their shit to work through.
Exactly. You know what? Other people's feelings or other people's opinions are none of your business.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that, I've, and my husband have really had to learn is that when people feel uncomfortable, they find it really hard to hold that uncomfortableness, and they try and push it onto you.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
You can be uncomfortable and just hold that.
Yep.
And fuck off. Yep. And don't put that on
you
me.
You sit on that.
You sit on that. And people find that very, very hard. Very, very hard.
Because it is hard to sit in it sometimes, but it's actually not anyone else's stuff that they need to work through. Yeah. It's your own. Yeah. So I think that I'm just coming into into myself a bit more.
That's awesome.
So it feels good. It was a great experience, and for me, I would do it again.
Yeah, awesome. And I think, when you said before about less fucks, I think if you drill down to it, not that many things actually matter.
No.
And so if you can actually, and I know control came up as well around relinquishing control. I also think in our lives, relinquish control. Like, not everything is going to be perfect. People are not going to be perfect. You don't need, a lot of the time you hold on to things that's so unnecessary for you, for other people, for everything in your life. So I think that's, for me, that resonates a lot in terms of that, control piece, but also most shit doesn't matter.
Most shit doesn't matter. We're in control of our own emotions, and hold that boundary for yourself because it's important. Yeah. Yeah. For healing.
Well, thank you so much for being so open.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And being so vulnerable and sharing that with us.
Yeah. I'm happy to share it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to say, and we can edit this out, but you talking about your birth, like I find you talking about your birth experience traumatic for me. And I know that's got nothing to do with you, but it's interesting because normally I would walk out of the room if someone started talking about that. But it was...
Thank you for listening.
No, and it was just, again, as I'm working through stuff, it's just... I just wanted to share that because we are all about being vulnerable and raw. Yeah. And so it was hard. It was really hard for me to hear that.
Well, thank you for holding the space.
Again, because we reflect into.
Well, you turn inward, don't you? Yeah. Kind of, when someone's speaking about their experience, it's just human nature to think about how it's happened for you. Yeah. So that makes complete sense. Yeah. But thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Start crying. But
I'm sure there'll be many tears on this podcast.
I'm surprised there haven't been tears already.
We're doing good.
Yeah.
We're doing good.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh. All right. So what's up for us next week? I don't have too much on next week, actually. I'm rolling with the punches a bit. Yeah. A bit of, actually I'm seeing my energy coach. So that will be interesting to see whether there's been any more integration from the trip.
I really want to hear more about this energy coach as well. Yeah. So can we pencil that into next week's
agenda?
We
will pencil that in. Yep.
Also the universe, I feel like that's come up a lot
universe.
So maybe we could talk about universe next time. Maybe we've both seen psychics recently, so maybe we could talk a little bit about that.
There is so much to talk about.
I know. For me...
And what about you, my love?
Yeah, so for me, I'm just going to spend time in nature, I think, just lots of walks. And, focus on, as I said, I've got my psychologist tomorrow, my psychiatrist later in the week, or next week. So, just, focusing on self. I got my nails done the other day, got a massage from this lady, amazing TCM practitioner. TCM stands for Traditional Chinese Medicine.
Beautiful.
And basically, I went in there and I was like, oh, she's like, what's hurting? And I said, well, emotionally or physically?
Yeah.
And she's like, she held my hand, or she put her hand on top of my hand and she said, don't worry, I'll fix you. And it was actually just so beautiful. I was like, thank you. And so, I'll go back and see her again as well. So I've got a bit of things that I'll work on there. Just,
I'm so glad you've got things around you to support you in the next coming weeks. Yeah. It's really important.
Yeah, and a friend's the first year anniversary of their death is coming up as well. So just, remembering them and raising a toast to them, and just providing that love and support from afar to their family. So,
well, look after yourself.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's
week.
The plan.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
You too.
Right.
And
thank you
to our listeners, if you're still listening. I know it's been a long episode.
We've had a lot to talk about today.
We've got a lot to talk about, but you guys also take care of yourself, because if you don't, put yourself first, you can't help anyone else. And, we are here to share our experiences and our thoughts on things, and, we see you.
Absolutely. Take care of you and yourself.
And you take care of you.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Thank you. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us, beautiful people. We hope you enjoyed the show. We really appreciate all the support that you give us. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a rating and a review. And if you like this show, please share it with a friend and tell them to have a listen. You can also connect with us on our Instagram at the.selfishpodcast. We can't wait to see you next week. Until then, be selfish.